Why, hello everyone, CraftyMama here. Today I am here to share with you a project that I want to do inspired by Natasha over at Treasure Book. She always inspires me with her nifty little diagrams and the way she explains things and all the great projects she comes up with. So this one is called Altered Book of Pockets Junk Journal, and once I seen it I knew I had to try to create it. So I'm going to make a few tweaks in mine, and I'll let you know where my tweaks are that differ a little from hers, but basically following hers. I'm going to use for the first time, my art glitter glue that Lucia Mariposa gave me last year. Here's my needle and some thread. I have a couple different threads because she does a little sewing. Here's my awl to poke holes when I do the sewing on one of the pages. Here's what I use to thread the needle because I can't see it. Some scissors. Of course, I also have some wax paper when I'm gluing things so pages don't stick together. Some cardboard for when I'm poking the holes to sew, just some scrap. And here is my book. And yes, it happens to be a vintage book. I'm probably going to keep that library card right in there on that page. It's called Dolly Madison, Her Life and Times, and it was made in, let me see here, 1949. Now, normally I don't use vintage books. I like to save the actual vintage books. And as you can see, it was a library book as well. It's got stamps and stains in it. And again, I don't normally use vintage books. I love books. I love to read them, and I'm an avid reader. But in this case, this book is not only old, it's not even really usable or anything. And the thing with vintage books is they are sewn. They are most always sewn. As you can see, here is the thread in the middle. So I want to use this book. Treasure Books does explain to you the reasoning behind using a sewn book versus a glued book. And you can see that in her video. It's just better to use one that's sewn. It works better because we're going to be taking a lot of pages out. So what you want to do is find the middle of your book and put a paper clip on the 2 pages in the middle of your book because you don't want to take those out. We're trying to keep some integrity of the book in. And I think I want to keep these first 3 or 4 pages in, especially the one with the book card, just for now. And then I'm going to start tearing like every 3rd page out. So since I saved like 4 pages in the beginning, I'm going to start with this page. For the first page I tear out, skip 2, tear another page, skip 2, tear another page, and so on and so forth. You don't want to tear a bunch out at once because you'll ruin the integrity of the book. You're trying to sort of keep like an even number of pages in there. So I'm going to have to do this a couple of times, but I'll come back and show you what it looks like after the first time I tear some pages out. Now I've come back, and there's a couple things I want to mention at this point. You want to leave in the first page that's like attached to the inside of the book's cover. You don't want to tear that out. Same with the back, called kind of like the end papers, the front papers. Leave those in so your book stays more intact. The other thing is, this is like a 426 page book. I took out every 3rd page. I took out like 142. I still need to go through it a couple more times. I want to weed it down to maybe like 50 or so pages. And this is probably going to be a 3-part video because the first part is going to show you making all the different kinds of pockets and tuck spots. The second part, how I decorate it, paint it, put papers on it. And the third part, how I stuff it with goodies. Now these are nice thick pages. I'll use a lot of these to make pockets and things for this journal, other journals. I can make tags, bookmarks, all kinds of great stuff. So here's the pages from my book. I'm not quite done. What I did was I went and did every 3rd page, then went back and went and did every other page, and then every 3rd page. Finally got it to where I wanted it. It had about 50 pages, and I'm going to start creating the pockets. So the first pocket we create is just going at an angle using two sheets here, this first one and the one behind it, and making an angle pocket like you see here. And I'm just going to glue this down to the page. First I'm going to distress it a little, of course, but I'm not going to distress all of them like this as I go. I'm going to wait till after because it took a little longer and I don't need to distress it now. So you just glue that little part on the side and the bottom and glue it to the second page. And that's your first pocket. The second pocket, she said, to make a mark halfway up, and then to cut, like you're seeing me cut at angles here. And what I'm going to do is glue this page to the page behind it, so it makes this little unique looking pocket, like an envelope. And then I'm going to glue this page just to that, the next page, to make a huge pocket. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Now I'm trying to do this video faster so that you can see them done. Now this one I changed up a little. She made another one like she made the first pocket, cut it at an angle. This one I'm going to glue flap down, and then I'm going to glue this page to the page next to it to create this type of pocket. This is all about pockets, folks. So here I have this pocket, and I have a big pocket right behind it. That's what I just created. A couple of pockets. This one takes 3 pages. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take the 3 pages and first take the first 2, and I'm going to cut it about 3/4 of the way down the page, being careful not to cut all the way to the very edge of the book, edge of the spine. And we're going to make a top pocket and a bottom pocket. So what I'm going to do here, it's going to be a top side pocket. So I'm going to put a little notch in the side with my little die cutter here, my little punch die cutter. I meant to say punch. Little finger notch, because it's going to be a pocket that you put stuff in now, and it goes on the side. So I'm going to glue the top and the bottom of these two to each other. So I create this pocket, and you see me doing that here. And I do let the glue dry in between. In the video it seems like I'm not, but I did pause in between. It's better if you let your glue dry a little. And then this one is just going to be a pocket on the bottom. I glued the side and the bottom. So you have a little bottom pocket and a little top pocket with a little thumb notch. Of course, they don't look like a whole lot yet because I haven't decorated them, painted, and added pages and papers that I'm going to do to make it decorated. So this page takes 3 pages of the book, and what you do is you take 2 pages and you fold 2 of them back to the up to the spine, but not right on the spine, the middle of the book. You want a little room, and you glue them down so they stay there. And we're making a short long pocket on this one, and you use the 3rd page. I'm going to glue it, the top and the bottom, to the page behind it to make a short but long pocket. A lot of pockets. I like it. I like all these pockets. I'm into it. And there you go. There's a short, long pocket. Next up, now this one I changed because I kind of messed it up. You take 2, you cut the bottom off, and you go at an angle. But my angle was much more severe than hers. You put a little finger notch, and I don't like how my pocket here came out. She made hers a bit chunkier and wider. I goofed on this, so I'm going to have to make a different little pocket situation here. But I'll glue this together, and you'll see what I do. I'll glue the bottom so that I can make a pocket here with the little thumb notch on the side. And then I'll show you how I create like another pocket and make this more sturdy, because my little side pocket is not good. So since I cut this pocket at a more severe angle than she did and put my little notch, I decided to make the pocket up top, and then I added some paper to make a pocket on the bottom. Next up, we use 4 pages and a little sewing. So to do this one, we fold it back on itself, glue it to itself a little bit, back down on itself, glue it to itself. You see the little pocket it makes right there. Then we fold the other one just a little higher back, and that makes like the 2nd level tier. And then I am going to glue them onto each other to form the 2 pockets before I sewed. Now, here's where she differed from me, and it's only because I was just getting glue happy. She actually didn't glue this particular part. She just sewed it. She just folded them and sewed it. But now I've got it glued. And on the back, the 4th page just goes back down on itself, and it creates a big pocket in the back. So I'll glue that down on itself right here. And this is where she sewed. So now mine's all glued, plus I'm going to be sewing just to keep along with what she was doing. So I got my owl. I'm punching the holes. I made a little big marks with my blue pen. Here's my sewing thread and my needle. So we finished sewing here. As you can see, I used a little black marker to outline it. I got 4 pockets there. Then I got the 1 large pocket and the 2 smaller pockets because I decided to cover up my sewing. I didn't like it showing on the back. So once again, we're going to use 4 pages, and the way she did this page, my book will not, it started to rip a little bit. My paper for this book is different than hers. You see I got a rip at the top there, but I'll fix it, and I'll show you how I do that really quick after I'm done making this pocket. So you cut one way, and you cut the other one the other way. She actually made 2 pockets here, but because, again, like I said, my paper must be different than hers, I didn't. So here's how you fix it. A little scrap piece of your book paper, put a little glue on it, and this is like a book band-aid. And again, remember later on when I decorate this, I'm going to cover this up with scrapbook paper and or cardstock. And you just fold it over, cover up the little rip, and it bandages it up nice. And there you go. That's all there is to that. So as you can see, I made 1 big pocket where here she actually made 2 with the flaps. And then on the back side, she folds over the next page, the 4th page, glues it to itself again, and makes 1 large pocket. Up next, we take 2 pages, and what she did here, she just took her scissors and she cut it in, well, not in half, but she cut it in 3/4 of the way down. And the smaller part is going to be a side pocket. So what she did right here is cut a little oval on the top part, kind of so you could put things in and out. I'll give you a look of it in a second. On this one, she cut it at an angle, and you want to make sure your pages are as even as possible. And I'm making sure I cut this one wide like she did, which I did this time. Just showing you here, I glued these 2 pockets that we just made. Here's the bottom pocket with the little oval and the top pocket. So moving on, we're using 2 pages for this one, and she folds the first one down back on itself, and she glues the little flap to the back of that page because she's folding it down on itself. So that's what you see me doing here. This one kind of confused me, and you'll see in a second why. It's kind of like origami or something. So then she folds it up, but she's creating 2 pockets here. So she folds it up, and I got a little confused for a second. I'm like, well, I want to reinforce it where they meet. So you see me like going back and forth. I put a little glue there just where they meet at the flap, where it comes up. And then you glue those 2 pieces to each other. And then you just glue one side of it to create the pocket, as you'll see me do in 1 second here. And that way you got a pocket on the top and a pocket there. So this page became a Franken page because I could not use my little book repair. It kept splitting and everything. So I got a pocket there, a little pocket, and I even put a pocket on the back and used some of the tape there as you see. I swear the noise you hear is my book, not me. So this one we're going to use 3 pages. I have never made so many pockets in my entire life. Oh my golly. So this one we fold it a little bit down, probably like almost halfway, and this is the way she did this. She tore it and made like a curved edge. Now I'm not so great doing that by hand. I should have used my little edge thing, but I decided to just try it by hand, do it myself. So that's what I did. I ripped it here and just try to even it up a little. So the next page you make just a little bit higher, the 2nd page of the book, and do the same thing. You tear the edge. So here's what the 2 pockets look like glued down, and I did distress the edges. Onward we go. So we're going to take 3 pages. Fold the first one down, the second one up, then take the back, just the top of the 2nd page, and glue it to the 3rd page. Glue this little flap right at the bottom as you're seeing, because that's going to create another pocket. Then we're going to take the 1st page and glue just the bottom of it to the 2nd page. Then we're going to glue this on the edge. Oh my gosh, I know. Creating like a whole bunch of pockets at once. There you go. There's that down there. So that created 4 pockets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this next pocket uses just 1 page. And what we're doing is making like a tall pocket that you put something in from the top, like a bookmark or a tall tag or something. So she said before you glue it down, make a little hole at the top, which I'm going to do with my little hole punch. I'm doing it backwards so I can see where I'm punching. Of course it ripped. I will put my book band-aid on the inside this time before I glue it down. I've been trying to do that before I glue, and here's what this looks like now. On the next set of pockets, we'll be using 3 pages, and I wish myself luck on this one, because this is what we're doing here. We're folding the 1st page down on itself, but not doing anything with it yet. Then, just folding it as good as I can here. Then we take the other 2 pages, and I have to turn the book to show you, and we cut these in 3 equal parts. So we're in 3 parts, period. As good as you can get it. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but we'll see. We'll work it out. So now, if I turn the book around, we folded part of this down on itself, so we glue the folded part down again. So it's just folded on itself and glued on itself, I guess you could say. And then we take the bigger parts and we use the little hole punch and make a little tab at the top. Because all those are going to be pockets too. We're making like 6 pockets here. We take the little flaps and just glue them on either side down to the big flap. And we just glue the top and bottom of the big flap. And this is how it all turns out and looks. So next up at this point, she uses 2 pages to make 2 wonky ones. And we just made those 3 wonky ones. So I'm going to skip 1 pocket first and make this one that she makes following the wonky one. Because I like that idea better. And I did want to say that like 42 minutes into the almost 58-minute video, she did say something that made me go, oh, thank goodness. You know, a lot of my pages that I've been making with the pockets have been not like sitting completely straight, been wonky. Sorry about that word, but it's the only good way to describe it. And she says her book ended up turning out the same way, and once you fill it and put the papers on it, it all comes out much better. So here's this pocket, and then we'll go on to the 2-page wonky one next. All right, let's get down and get funky. So you find the middle point of your page, and then you make a mark as you see I did here from corner to corner. And then we're going to take these 2 pages and we're going to cut up. As you see me, yep, here we go. I'm cutting up, and then you're going to cut down. I have to turn it around to cut down Julie Brown. I think I'm making too many pockets. And now what we're going to do with these 2, oh boy, I got 3 pages. Well, we're going to work on the 2, and I'll figure out what to do with the accidental 3rd one that I did. So you just fold it in on the side, and you only want to glue it at the little points because these are just small, tiny pockets. So you're just going to glue right at the very tip, otherwise you won't be able to put anything in. Not much will fit, but hey, it's still 2 different pockets. So on the page I accidentally goofed. What I'm going to do is going to take the little flap and glue it down to itself. And then I'm just going to glue that little part to a whole page behind it. And there you go, you see that, thereby making myself 2 additional pockets. So next up in her video, she recreates the tall, thin one that we made with the little notch at the top. I don't really care for that. So I'm going to recreate another one we made earlier, which is this 3-page one, where on the first page we make a V. Now you're going to see me struggle and cut all wonky here, and I just left this in anyway. I'm like, what was I thinking? I've been making so many pockets. So you just cut the V out, and then you glue the top and bottom of the V to the 2nd page. And on the 2nd page, after I glue the top and bottom of this V, that makes a pocket, and glue it to the 2nd page. And then the 2nd page is just glued top and bottom to the 3rd page to make a big pocket, which is one I really liked. I like that one. So here it is finished, the big B pocket and the big page pocket. Next, she has me recreating a similar page to one we did earlier. You cut it about 3/4 of the way down. We're making one of those little side pockets, and then we're doing just a little bit different on the top. So on the top, we fold the top part back on itself and glue it, the flap, down onto itself. And then we just do both the top and the bottom and glue it to the 2nd page. And of course, this little one, we do the little notch in it. Then I decided to distress it just a little bit before I glued the top and bottom of that one, because that's a side flap. So the next pocket just takes 1 page. Just fold down like 1/3 of the page. And then what we do is we just glue the very top and the very bottom to make 1 large pocket. As you see me doing here, fold that down after you glue it, and that's it. We're done with that pocket. So the last and final pocket takes 2 pages, and you just kind of cut an oval, and I'm going back and forth here trying to get it just right. Probably not. Oh my gosh, I think it came out almost perfect. I'm surprised. So I did distress the edges. This is the last pocket. I have 47 pockets in this. Look how full it looks already, and there's nothing but pockets yet. I haven't even filled it. In the next video, I'm going to try to pretty it up and add papers, cardstock, paint, whatever. And I also want to try to recreate her book page bow and her book page corner hugger, because I thought those were really cute. So if you want to join me for the second part, if you stayed this far for this part or watched most of it or whatever, I thank you. I can't always make super short videos. Sometimes it takes a little longer to show the process. And while this glue was great, I love that it's a fine tip. It comes out thin and you can work with it really nicely. I just don't think it dries as quick or adheres as good as tacky glue. I'm used to working with tacky glue, but I do like this glue. I'm probably going to use it in the next part 2 of the videos for this. So stay tuned. Hope you'll join me then. I hope you have the most bestest day ever. Till next time, next video. Thanks for stopping by and watching Crafty Mama.